This is gonna be awesome!
Hello world, welcome to Hex1E. This time we're gonna begin exactly where we left off last time. But before that, and as a favor, if you like what we do here, subscribe to the channel. Comment on what you liked and didn't like about the video. Any ideas or suggestions you may have are of course welcome too. Finally, please spread the word about the channel and let's get on with it. So, before the arts and crafts part of this video, some of you might be waiting for, let's quickly go over the hardware for the last time. Some of the components remain the same as before, while others have changed. Why? The experience I had while using the system has allowed me to understand my needs with this file server better, and I adapted the hardware accordingly. When building a server like this, which is meant to be turned on once and just work, there is nothing worse than having to change the components over and over again. So building the system in 2 steps instead of a single one had at least one positive side effect. As always, with component summaries such as this one, we begin with a CPU and motherboard, which are an 8-core, 16-thread LGA 2011-3 Intel Xeon with all the perks that come with the platform, mainly support for quad-channel ECC DDR4 memory and up to 40 PCIe 3.0 lanes. The board is a single-socket Supermicro X10SRI-F with 10 SATA ports. This board exposes 32 of its 40 PCIe 3.0 lanes in a 16x4x8x8 configuration and, more importantly, supports PCIe bifurcation. As this board is enterprise-grade hardware, it has a baseboard management controller supporting features such as KVM over IP. Both the CPU and motherboard remain unchanged from the original configuration. As for the memory, while the type and speed haven't changed, the amount has doubled from the original 64 to 128 GB. The components of this build where most changes happened is storage. The system now has a 2 TB x 12 drives SSD pool with a 2-drive failover. Dual mirrored 32 GB Intel Optane M2 drives as a write cache. Also, dual 256 GB Sabrent Rocket NVMe's in RAID 0 stripe configuration as a read cache. And finally, I decided to take the new metadata drive option, featured in the newer builds of TrueNAS Core, using a further 2 of those same Sabrent Rocket drives. This time with a 512 GB variant and configured as a mirror. Networking, of course, is another critical aspect with a build like this, and I'm happy to have found a used Intel X520T Base T 10 gigabit Ethernet card for cheap. But that's enough about the hardware. You're probably here to see the finished build. Sit back, relax, enjoy the montage. See you afterward. after this final look inside, I think it's time to put everything back together. I did what I could with the cable management, but since the case doesn't have any provisions for it, it doesn't look as tidy as I'd like it to. But such is life. The only thing that's missing now is a final test boot, closing it up and putting it to work. That was it for this build. I'm pretty happy with how my server turned out. I like how I really got the colors for this Iron Man inspired build. The bright blue front fan gave it the final touch. I think the case, the Chieftec Dragon, was the right choice for the system. And here's a quick shout out to DCLUTR, without whom I wouldn't have gotten my hands on it. Since we know that the server works, it's finally time to close the panel. Thank you for being part of this server build journey. It was a long one, at least for me. If you enjoyed it, like. Wanna see more of it, stuff like this and other builds? Consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell. My name is Ralph, and I hope to see you next time here at X1E.